pressure.
This is your one job. One job.
The framing.
I don't have it. I look like I'm bloody Magnum PI or something with this shirt today.
I don't know who looks worse. Like, I decided for some reason that for first episode of season 3, I was going to rock England gear.
Yeah, why England?
I don't know.
And why do I look like...
I guess to try and get a reaction.
What do I look like?
What's going to get the bigger reaction? Why the are you wearing England, or why? What is that?
Why do I look like Tom Selleck's like fat, ugly cousin when he was in his prime?
Do you want to go quickly have a shave and just leave the mo?
Magnum PI. Did you ever watch any Magnum PI back in the day?
I would have, yeah, like MacGyver, Magnum PI.
I love a bit of MacGyver.
What was the...
You've seen me
the A-Team, like those kind of shows.
Yeah, I pity the fool. Yeah, mate. As soon as you see MacGyver, I don't know what it is about him. Sends me straight from 6 to midnight.
Goodness me. How long were we into this recording?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, cheers, we're back.
We're back, season 3.
We did it.
We did it. They said it couldn't be done.
No, they said they didn't want us to do it. Is it back by highly requested? It's come back.
Well, it's back. It's
There's
back,
nothing you can do about
whether
it.
you like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be our tagline. 2 Cents to Get Distracted is back, whether you like it or not.
There you go.
Oh. Do we have any goals for this year?
We're going to talk about rugby.
I think we go a little looser this year.
Okay. It's a divisive topic. You get people who are like, I could listen to you guys talk bollocks all day, and people who are just like, why will you not just skip to the rugby?
Yeah,
Every episode, Tony puts a little number that says rugby chat starts.
And this one might have said like rugby chat starts at 27 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes they're like 15, 18 minutes.
We can talk some bollocks.
For a little while. Oh, I've got a bloody mozzie there. Oh. That's really gonna. Maybe just.
There are a lot of mosquitoes. It's kind of muggy.
It is muggy, but thankfully today it's about 5 degrees cooler than it has been.
It's been raining, so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Only today. We bitch about the weather a lot.
We've had a pretty good summer.
We've actually had
it's
a summer.
It's been pretty warm, but yeah, that's what summer's supposed to be.
Like this
last year just pissed down the whole summer.
I think we had like a episode in a cyclone around about this time last year.
There was one episode I didn't come over to record because there was like literally a storm and roads were flooded.
Warning.
Yeah. That's right. They said don't travel unless you have to, and I thought, well,
let's get back to the important stuff. Magnum PIs,
Magnum
massive
PI.
cock, massive.
Whose channel is this going on? Is this going on yours? Or is this going on mine? How loose do we go?
I don't know. I think I think it's due for yours. Although I have not put out a video.
I don't mind.
I haven't put out a video on my channel since the 2CGD's the season finale of season 2, where we gave out a whole series of these. You know what was amazing? You know what my favorite new bio is on Twitter? I just noticed it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
Our friend Rian Lu.
Yes.
He has
I think it's Lo.
Sorry, Lo. Rian Lo. He says content creator for YouTube, whatever, and then he says also 2CGD 2023
Best Sapphire, Best Bok, whatever it was.
Winner of Best Sapphire.
He's got that on his Reddit profile.
Oh, on his Reddit profile too.
Yeah.
That's some great bio information. You know, you meant to lead with your biggest and best.
Most people put like husband, father, and YouTube content creator or something.
No, they pale in significance to being the best Sapphire winner of a 2CGD in 2023. So, yeah, good on you, Rian. He made an incredible video. Did you watch it? He made a video called.
I watched most of his videos. What is rugby?
What is rugby?
Yeah, I watched that one.
That was great. Like the start of it is actually really, really funny when he goes through the rules and sort of. But the post 80-minute stuff, where he goes into like the online sort of furor and all that sort of stuff, we got to mention.
Yeah.
He painted us to be alcoholics, which I don't know what he's doing.
No idea.
Oh. But it was great. It was fantastic. And it kind of he does the warm fuzzies.
Does anyone promote Rian Lo as much as this channel?
I think that's the main purpose of this podcast.
It was brought to you by Rian Lo.
Yeah, we should. I think we do. Who else do we promo? We promo the Kiwi lads.
Kiwi lads.
He's got a podcast.
He does.
The Rugby Recap with Rugby Itch, and he's a lovely bloke too.
He is.
Who else can we promo? Is that the extent of our rugby relationships? You've done a podcast with the Squidge guys.
Yes, I have done one episode with the World Cup retrospective with Squidge and his brother Robbie. I did New Zealand against Italy from 2007.
All right.
Or was it 2003? I can't remember.
In 2007, we absolutely pumped them.
We flogged them, yeah.
It was the first game of our first game of the tournament.
It was one
Would have been 2007. 2003 was in Australia, and it wasn't in Australia, it was in France.
There we go.
Yeah. So
It's a while ago. It was a while
I did
ago
the
I did
Rugby Bits podcast last year.
Okay.
That was good.
that?
They were really lovely. Really nice guys. It's a lot more organised than ours.
Right.
Like you're doing over a Zoom chat and everyone kind of puts himself on mute while the other person's speaking, which I found very difficult because I
like talking?
I'm terrible. I kind of interrupt people a lot. Maybe that's something I could have as a goal for this year. I'll try not to interrupt you so much. So
I had a little bit of that when I was talking
to
Adam Jones.
What do you okay.
I kept almost cutting him off. I felt a little bit awkward.
The Care Bear.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Why were you cutting off the Care Bear?
I don't know. I got a call because
you've been doing all sorts of
I've spoken to a few. Yeah, I know.
And now you're back to slumming it with me.
What can I say?
This is
I
not
never
brought to
forget
you...
my roots, West Auckland.
This is not brought to you by eToro.
It's not, but yeah.
But eToro is great though.
I got to speak to a few of the old former players, and yeah, his one I didn't quite kind of get that natural. Like I spoke to Paul Gustard as well. He used to be Eddie Jones's defense coach. He was head coach of Harlequins for a while. Now he's the defense coach at Stade Francais. Yeah, like it was like, it was just like in terms of like the banter or like just like the feel. It was like
had a bit of
perfect.
It sounds like you were a bummer.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So yeah,
and he's a handsome guy too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
and like it was weird because he kept chatting to me after like in the WhatsApp, he kept chatting to me afterwards.
What
he was
a ledge.
He was great.
You made
Everyone else was kind of just like, what time are we meeting up? Okay, we're going to talk about this. Like, okay. It was like kind of business as usual, But yeah, Paul Gustard was like, he's having a chat.
Good on you, Paul.
Great fella.
Well done. What a legend. Were they any of them familiar with your work?
Not that I know of.
All right.
No.
Because the other one you did,
It was Planet Rugby that kind of hooked us up with them. So one of the journalists there, James Weil, he's pretty good mates with I think a lot of the players. So he was the one who kind of asked them, do you want to come on, doing some Six Nations stuff. So, but yeah, I kept cutting Adam Jones off. Felt a bit bad. I apologised to him after. I was like, sorry if I kept cutting you off. And that's all right.
He seems like a quintessential Welshman.
Yeah, I know.
He's about as Welsh as they get.
Yeah, he was great.
That's my Welsh accent.
Yeah, nice. You had a Welsh girlfriend.
I did have a Welsh girlfriend.
Did she know Adam Jones?
Not as far as I'm aware, but she was definitely a fan of Wales during that era.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a great era.
Hell of an era. Yeah. Although they still weren't able to get a victory over the All Blacks.
This is true. I also spoke to Bernard Jackman. He's an Irish pundit, former international.
Ball boy.
He was cracking. Like
I don't think people refer to him as that.
I chatted to him like in the car before we started. Like he was driving and he was like chatting to me at the same time. And James, because like James was like, "Oh, this is Mark. He's gonna like be on the thing later." So,
right.
Like it's a little bit of a meet and greet kind of thing. So that was cool.
Mate, look at you. Yeah, you're just floating around with these like massive rugby personalities.
Yeah, they were all good. It's really nice to be able to say like no one was like
no one was a douche. No one was a
like Nick Easter was like sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, you pretty much ready to go?" And he's like, "Oh, I just got to get my son to bed." He's like, "Yeah, have the iPad."
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Oh, it's like a parenting connection. Like every parent's put their kid in front of the iPad for 5 minutes
100%.
just to like get a piece of quiet."
I'm a bad parent too.
We love you, Nick. We love your parenting.
Yes, absolutely. But during school holidays, what I find is like when you're back at work and your kid's still on school holidays, that's when you start like going, okay, the TV's on. Okay, right. Yeah, it's not good, but you do it.
Yeah,
do it.
It's one of those things.
Well, that's exciting, Mark. You seem as though you're going from strength to strength, and in this year, which is by it's the hangover. It is the hangover. It's not meant to be.
It's kind of a weird one. I wanted to pick your brain about it a little bit.
Pick away, sir. Pick away.
Yeah. We'll see what's going on there, but
not a lot, mate.
After the World Cup, New Zealand kind of went into bitch and moan about the final, and then rugby just kind of fell off a cliff.
Absolutely.
And then Razor started the job, and there was a bunch of news about Razor. Razor's doing this, Razor's doing that. But apart from a bit of Razor and a bit of bitching and moaning, there's not been a lot of rugby on the radar. Whereas the Europeans, Rugby World Cup's over. straight back into your rugby.
Yeah.
I kind of like the way we do. I feel like you need a little.
I 100%. I feel for the South Africans who are just getting a 12-month
there's no
smashing
break.
our throat. And it's one of the problems that's actually happened with cricket internationally now is there's no off-season. There's always cricket getting rammed down your throat. There's always some T20 going on. There's always something you should care about, and to the point you just don't end up caring about anything. But the last full game of rugby I watched was the World Cup final.
Wow.
I have not watched...
You've not been watching the Champions Cup?
No.
Can I tell you an interesting fact about the Champions Cup?
Tell me. Hey, Mark, would you tell me an interesting fact about the interesting...
I've got an interesting... About the interesting cup? Yes, the interesting cup.
Hey, Mark, let's do that again. Rewind. Hey, Mark, would you tell me an interesting fact about the Champions Cup?
I've got one just lined up for you.
That's great. Let's hear it.
After the pool stage, when you go into the round of 16, the way the format works is you can play a team who you just played in your pool. So imagine the World Cup. Imagine, who did we have in our pool at the World Cup?
We had Italy. We had...
Who else qualified from our pool? It was us and... Why have I blacked this out? Because we lost the final. Who else was in our pool? France.
France. We lost
so
to France.
Imagine... Yeah, we blocked that out. So imagine you get out of the pool and, you're playing France.
Right.
That's kind of weird, right?
It is kind of weird.
So, but no, the Champions Cup, of the 8 games in the knockout stages, round of 16... 5 of them are teams that have already played each other.
Really?
5 out of 8.
Is that just a mathematical?
It's just the way that the
that
draw
sometimes
works.
Happens in the NRL when it comes to the end of the round robins, and Cronulla's played Manly, and then they've got each other in the first week of finals.
That's just scheduling.
Scheduling, but is this the same? It's basically scheduling and
where
they're
ranked.
Way
the way the format. It's about the rankings.
So it's the same. So they're ranked, but they rank it on. It's not just obviously wins are the.
It's not just
thing.
team Pool A one plays Pool B. It's not like that. So it just feels a bit weird.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's a bit boring as a fan. Like the rare times where I've had to play the same team twice. It's just like, oh, great. Yeah. Them again.
But it's been an interesting competition.
It could happen in the technically it could happen in Super Rugby too.
I suppose so.
Yeah. Super Rugby. How far away is that one?
About a month.
How excited about Super Rugby on...
Six Nations is still very front and center at the moment.
From zero to MacGyver.
I'm probably still at Knight Rider levels. I'm not I'm not quite Magnum PI. I'm not quite MacGyver. I'm just at Knight Rider.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm probably more Smurfs. Yeah. Really... I really like the Smurfs though, but they don't make me horny for rugby.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they make me horny for all sorts of different reasons.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird season in Super Rugby because there's just so many guys who aren't going to be there. The Melbourne Rebels maybe not going to play. I don't know. They're in administration. Do you think? Kind of have to wait and see.
Do you think I could ask one of our many fans to somehow do a scale that makes sense that MacGyver's the top? Okay. And then just make it into some sort of scale that makes sense. And you've got a little bit of data there that Magnum PI is getting up there, but Knight Rider is about halfway.
Knight Rider's all right. I don't mind Knight Rider.
Rider's about a 5?
Yeah. Knight Rider's okay. I'll watch Knight Rider. But
I wasn't a huge Knight Rider guy.
Me neither. It was okay. Yeah. The cool soundtrack.
Yeah, I was more of a Baywatch guy. But Baywatch to me is more 90s.
Oh, yeah.
We're going into...
I liked Baywatch, but probably for reasons other than the story.
Yeah, a bit of Yasmin Bleeth back in the day.
Yeah. This is quite the tangent.
It's a tangent we're all happy to go down.
But no, the Six Nations are still much more front and center for me at the moment. I am pretty pumped to see how that goes.
Well, yeah, this is what you need to help me out with. Because, look, we are now entering Rugby Chat. This is what's happening.
It's official.
It's official.
This is the timestamp. If you clicked ahead, this is what you
This
came
is where you are now. Although we have mentioned a couple of rugby thingy-bajiggies.
Here and there.
My sort of feelings about the Six Nations is I thoroughly enjoyed it last year.
Yes.
And I went in not knowing a lot.
Right.
And I feel very similar this time. Because I know more about European rugby and those players than I probably did this time last year. But as I said, it's a complete switch off for New Zealand fans. I'm a quintessential New Zealand fan. It's cricket. If I'm watching anything, just cricket, tennis, maybe a little golf.
It's summer,
watching.
so
Summertime.
It's not natural rugby season for us.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the fixtures that are on this weekend for New Zealand time, you've got a 9 a.m. game, a 3:15 in the morning game, and a 5:45. So I feel like there's a lot of Kiwis for the 9 a.m. game who'd be like, "Oh shit, there's some rugby on."
Yeah,
I'll watch that with your breakfast. Exactly. But no one.
And they're probably only going to watch about 20 minutes of it.
There's not many Kiwis who are getting up for Italy, England at 3:15 in the morning.
I can name one Kiwi that won't be.
That one. I thought you were going to say you could name one Kiwi there will be.
I'll watch a replay.
Yeah.
I'll watch a replay of that. But and it's not going to be one that I'm going to be gutted that I get spoiled for me.
Right.
Who is the coach of Italy now?
Gonzalo Quesada. Do you remember the time the Jaguares made the Super Rugby final? They played down in Christchurch against the Crusaders.
Yes.
They lost.
Yes.
Why did I say Crusaders with a rolled R? It's not a Spanish team. Anyway.
But I think it was just because you were saying Gonzalez.
Okay. He was the coach of that Jaguares team.
All right.
So he took an underperforming Jaguares team who the few years before had kind of been chock full of Pumas players and underperforming, and he took them to the next level.
Did he get them to... Kieran Crowley wasn't the coach in the World Cup,
He was.
So Kieran Crowley was the coach in the World Cup.
Kieran Crowley basically got replaced by Quesada, yeah. They didn't renew Crowley's contract. So I think it's an improvement, but we'll have to see how Quesada goes at international level because it's different.
How old is Crowley these days anyway?
Yeah, he's probably getting towards that age where he can think about...
He was an All Black. He was a good All Black.
Long time ago.
Taranaki boy. Played in the late in the 80s and early 90s.
Wee while ago.
A little while ago. I remember watching him play.
But yeah, I'm excited to see how Italy go, but they've got not many experienced props, which worries me.
Right. Okay, should we lead off with the big game front and centre, though?
Well, that's France-Ireland.
That is a huge game.
That's the 9 a.m. game as well, so that's like perfect.
Don't leave me hanging, bro.
Oh. No, get in there. He likes to like
what?
a real...
This is just go. Why do you have to make it weird? I was just looking for a little tap.
Oh, okay. I don't like to tap it.
That's what I've heard. He likes to receive it more than anything. Sorry.
Those got weird.
Those are two teams that are still must be heartbroken and still have legions of fans that are heartbroken. So this is their first chance to just blow up the cobwebs because those teams walked away with so much mental anguish. Mm-hmm. You know, you look into all that went into Ireland and to the fact that they were the best team in the world for like maybe the 2 years leading into it. Mm-hmm. Like had beaten South Africa in the pools, all that sort of stuff, and had never been past the quarterfinals. And of all the years, this is the year they had to do it, and then they get bundled out by the All Blacks. And then France, you know, a team in their home World Cup with, you know, the greatest player in the world at that very moment.
Beat the All Blacks in the pool stage for the first time ever.
The All Blacks in the pool stage for the first time ever were looking like they should
world
be
beaters,
able to,
basically.
Yeah, 100%. And that was their chance.
Yep.
That was their chances. They could definitely still win the next one. Mm-hmm. Though it's still a relatively young team, but at home.
That was the golden opportunity.
That was the golden
opportunity. That was us 2011, right? If we lost that one, it would have been like, holy crap.
Yeah, 100%. And a team that had been to the World Cup final twice before.
Yep.
So this is two teams. Do you think there's still a little bit of, like hangover from that where they're just like, you're like, we know the Six Nations is a big deal. It is the greatest rugby championship with a total of one World Cup between them. Tony
poking those. He's poking.
Poke away. But it is a big deal for any of those players, but it's not the World Cup.
For some fans, they tell me it's the biggest thing for them. The Six Nations.
Even though it happens every year?
I think it's just got a better appeal than the Rugby Championship does. Maybe it's the geography because they're so close to each other. Maybe it's the history being so intertwined. It's the be-all and end-all for a lot of fans. The attendances there are insane. The crowds are insane. The history is insane.
We don't... In New Zealand and Australia... Australia is like falling off a cliff rugby-wise. And New Zealand, we don't create that sort of chaotic amphitheatre sort of Colosseum-type environment, which seems to be the case in Europe. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very rare that we get to those sites. And I think South Africa probably, like, when you play at Loftus and stuff, they have something that could be comparable to that Six Nations atmosphere. But we don't have those sort of atmospheres. Is it just that, the pomp and grandeur of it?
I think part of it.
Yeah.
Because
it did feel like it. That's part of
what I feel it through the camera. It was part of the thing that made that World Cup so good was seeing those French fans, those Irish fans just pumping, right? So,
100%.
Yeah.
And you see half a dozen Kiwis.
Yeah. black.
Sometimes there's go black.
That's right.
Yeah, or black.
That's the one.
That's a good one. Yeah, we're creative people. We really are.
But yeah, France, Ireland. I think
No Sexton. What? Who's
no Sexton, no Dupont are kind of the two talking points for those two squads.
I didn't know Dupont was that. This is
Dupont is playing sevens.
If I have no idea... Oh, wow.
He's going to go to the Olympics, try to compensate for that lack of a World Cup with a gold medal, doing the old Sonny Bill.
A bit of a short man syndrome. That's a dangerous path to go down. Like, you look at... Caleb Clark was on top of the world when he decided to go to the sevens, and that was bad for us.
Probably a little bit better than Caleb Clark.
But Caleb Clark was
he'd had a cracking series against the Aussies.
Like if Dupont goes down, and it doesn't, sevens and 15s are such different games.
If there's anyone who can do it, I think it's Dupont. He's a freak.
He is a freak, but you would have thought that Caleb Clark was going to dominate in sevens too.
Yeah,
he does, and Dupont has express speed, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty quick. He's powerful. He's a strong tackler. Like, he's got everything about his game. So, if there's one of those guys who is that freak athlete,
watch no sevens though, eh?
No, that's true.
Yeah, it's such a different game.
I did watch the Olympics. Yeah,
that's when you look at games of players like DJ Forbes back in the day.
Yeah.
He looks like a maniac in sevens, but then it's just like a Mr. Nobody in 15s.
Yeah, this is not the space. And there's just the intensity of it. It's just so quick. You don't have to have that same stamina, but you need to have that explosive.
You do in terms of in sevens. Sevens is so tiring.
So fast, yeah.
It's
much running. It's like almost like tennis, watching them go back and forth. There's no
the small amount that I played like tournaments and stuff at school. It was you just want to vomit every time you get off the field.
Yeah.
Like and you're having to sprint. It's nasty. And basically, at the end, it's just basically who's got the most gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Wins.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. The French, I don't know if you've seen the squads, but the French squad has got a few more kind of ins and outs. They've brought in a few uncapped players in lots of different areas in the backline. They've got a couple of giant locks that they've brought in.
Yeah.
With a bit of, there's one guy, he's got Samoan heritage. He's born in New Zealand. He's raised in Australia, but then moved to France at like a really pretty young age, like teenager, I think. He's like 145 kilos. He's a lock, not a prop. Whoa. And he's over 2 meters tall. Like, he is an absolute behemoth. So,
holy smokes.
Yeah, the French squad's pretty exciting in terms of that. But the Irish squad's...
That is a terrifying human.
It's like a Will Skelton.
What kind of bloody lineage did he come through?
I know, exactly. So...
How big's his mum?
I never asked him. Get him on the pod, ask him.
How big's your mum?
But yeah, the Irish squad's pretty stable. There's no like bolter. It's just like, well...
Peter Mahoney's the captain, yeah?
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, because he's like at that age where it's like, is he going to make the next World Cup? And like, he's even like at that one where he's like, is he the best guy in his position? A lot of people would say Caelan Doris should be the 6, but because you got Omani at 6, you kind of have to play Doris at 8.
Are they going to Sam Cane themselves?
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it might just be an interim thing. We'll kind of have to wait and see.
I think he's an amazing player. I really like Peter Omani. But for me, he's more of a, he's like Dane Coles. Like, Dane Coles is gone now, but he's a shithead on the field, gets under the skin of the other player. He's a spiritual, emotional leader. He's not the guy talking to the coach, the referee in a calm way and then calming down his fellas and sending like direct messages and stuff. He's the guy getting up, talking smack to everybody, getting people to
he's got a different style of captaincy.
Well, I don't think that guy's the captain. That guy needs to do exactly all of that stuff.
Well, he's a captain for Munster, so
is he?
Yeah, he's done it for a long time. So
okay, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. To me, it doesn't seem like a sort of captain-y kind of.
We'll see how he goes.
Name some fiery captains you can think of?
Who's a
fiery? I can't think of it. Sean Fitzpatrick was a little bit fiery. He was a bit of a grub back in the day. Who else was a fiery captain? Blackadder. Todd Blackadder was rugged as anything, but he was like very much a leader.
Right.
But like a shithead captain. Like Peter Omani's a great shithead.
Yeah,
but
love it.
I like Villy LaRue, Dane Coles. We need shitheads in our game. We do. Like get under the skin of other people. Even like the likes of. Did you see that somebody asked Brodie Retallick whether he had actually said to Peter Omani, because he actually said to Peter Omani after the game or as it was closing, he said 4 more years, fuckwit.
Really?
Yeah. Because he'd given so much shit
Sam
to
Kane
them
a bunch of shit during their tour here.
And then he got asked about it on another podcast recently, and he just said, I said what was reported. Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Which was 4 more years, you fuckwit.
Wow.
Which is, I kind of like, it's you give it, you take it. Like, one of the greatest lines by Peter Imani was, you're a shit Richie McCaw. I love that. It's all good. Like,
Rugby needs more of that stuff.
Yeah, give us more of that crap.
So there you go. Peter Imani being captain. Good for the game.
Good for the game.
Yeah.
Good for the pod.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
There you go.
Do you think they didn't? They said, "Oh, they'll love this on 2 cents." Gets distracted. That's what they need something to talk about. It was season 3, episode 1.
Yeah, there you go. But no, those are the two sides, France and Ireland. I mean, like I said, Ireland's side's pretty consistent. There's no real bolters. When I spoke to Bernard Jackman, he said like,
"Look at you name
just
dropping."
Name dropping, but he said like,
"Well, you know what? I talked to my buddy Charlie."
But he said that there's no real bolters from the URC that it's like, well, that guy's really pushing for a spot. So
that's not a good sign, though.
The incumbents are all kind of holding their own.
So
just how they go without Sexton is the biggest question.
Some of these guys must be getting up there a little bit. Like
there's a few of them. Like Amani, Amani's like 34.
Well, Bundy Aki
he's 32.
Yeah. How old's Jameson Gibson Parker?
He's in his 30s. So there's quite a few guys who could probably go one more cycle.
You reckon?
Maybe. Yeah, interesting one. But the French squad has got a bunch of exciting youngsters. So
that's good. Utini still hanging about?
He is. He was going to retire, but they
got him.
They got him for
just when I thought I was out.
They pulled me back in, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, France and Ireland, big time favourites. England is the third favourite with the bookies.
They must be off the back of the kind of success.
Semi-final, yeah.
Lost by 1 point. That's welcome to the bloody club.
So
they welcomed us to the club.
That's true. Borthwick's picked a few youngsters, but he's also picked a few of the old boys. It's like a real mixed squad. So I get the feeling he's going to go conservative, but there's potential in his squad to go exciting.
Is he still going to have the conundrum of whether he plays the
Owen Farrell's not going to play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Owen Farrell's taking a break.
There's so many people going, I'm watching a rugby podcast with this guy. I have not watched any rugby, listened to any rugby.
That's what I'm saying. New Zealand's been no rugby
I am the quintessential New Zealander. This guy, you do it for a job. You do your thing. Like, I have not been paying attention.
Yeah, so Owen Farrell...
So if you need a catch-up, use me as your conduit. I'm your retarded conduit for everybody.
So he's not only
you can't say that word anymore. I apologize.
Playing... He's going to take a break from England duties because he's just, had a pretty full-on year.
Mental health stuff?
Basically.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, family time. And then at the end of the season, he's going to go join one of the French clubs. And England are like us, that if you go overseas, you're no longer eligible. So
I've heard murmurings.
So, yeah, he's pretty much done.
Okay.
Seems like it.
That's him. Gonskis.
Pretty much.
So that opens up space.
They got George Ford, who's the experienced guy. They got Marcus Smith. So they've still got guys who've played 10.
I think George Ford is a great backup because he got that game that
for a long time.
Against,
he was like playing 10-12 with Farrell. So
and that game that he played against Argentina, Argentina.
Oh, he just won it basically single-handedly.
The red card.
Yeah, I know.
And it was just beautiful. He was just going like, you want to put me like anywhere within my halfway, I'm going to do a droppy.
That's it.
That was one of the best performances of the World Cup.
That was cracking.
Can I ask you this left field question? Your 4 best performances in a single game in the World Cup.
Hey, what?
So 4 players that had the best performances in a World Cup. Sorry, I'm going to throw the odd one at you.
Okay. Well, I guess George Ford in that game is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Dion Ferree to come on for Bongi in the final when he's not even a full-time hooker anymore, I think was pretty amazing. I mean, in the scheme of things, like to go from you're only in the squad in case Malcolm Marks and Bongi and BNM go down, but that's probably pretty unlikely. We're most likely going to play you as a loose forward, and he plays like 70 minutes in a World Cup final.
That was one of those stories.
He's like the oldest guy to make his Springboks debut, like 36.
Quite incredible.
That was pretty incredible. 2 more. I don't know. What else you got?
I've got mine lined up.
Oh, you lined yours up?
Because I thought of mine, then I asked you. It's one of those sneaky, I want to say this.
You got a pre-prepared answer. Go on then.
Well, it's not pre-prepared.
You just thought of it.
I didn't think about it before the pod.
Here's a list I made earlier.
I think mine, George Ford in that game against Argentina. Sam Kane and the
Red card game.
quarterfinal.
Oh no.
He was having a blinder for 20 minutes. Oxenchae,
Oh, when he came off the bench.
when he came off the bench, and Peter Steph to Toit in the final.
In the final, yeah, the tackle count was insane.
Yeah. Exactly.
What about Artie?
Oh, yeah, fair point.
Artie must have had
Artie
somewhere.
for the tournament.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Give him World Player of the Year.
Who won that in the end?
Artie.
Yeah, he did. That was meant to be ejaculate, everybody.
Maybe this should go on your channel.
I'm sorry.
Good
You'd think
times.
you'd know. This is the third
Yeah,
season.
I know.
You'd
You don't know by now.
You don't know.
If
Now
you don't know him by now.
what if you don't... Well, how's that song
You
go?
will never, ever know me. Yeah.
Sing the actual tune, though. Give me the melody. If you don't have me by
Wales
now,
and Scotland. Wales are in an interesting
you will
spot.
never, ever,
They've also had to bring in a bunch of youngsters. So Dan Bigger's retired from international rugby.
All right, okay. So
They got Lewis Rees-Zammit going to the NFL.
I've got comments.
Okay.
Okay.
You're a big NFL fan?
Not a massive.
You're a
NFL.
medium NFL fan. You're
No.
a slight NFL fan.
Oh.
You've seen a game of NFL,
Heard of the game.
which was not the Super Bowl. No.
Have
Have you ever watched a full game of NFL which wasn't the Super Bowl?
when I was in Vegas, I was in a bar.
And you watched
And
some
there,
NFL.
and there was NFL, and they were going nuts, and I kind of got swept up, and I was
Right.
like, and they're like, it's the third down, and I was like, I'm down with you, bro. But
3 times.
but it was exciting, so
Right.
they get so amped about it.
Yeah.
But in terms of what it reminds me a lot of is, geez, I've forgotten his name now. The Hayne plane.
Jared Hayne.
Jared Hayne.
He's in prison.
He's in prison. But Jared Hayne, freakish, incredible talent in the game of rugby league.
He was
a great paramedic.
literally offered the biggest ever contract at the time for an NRL player by his team, which was the Eels. Yeah. Like, I forget how much of the salary cap it was, but it was a significant amount to be proposing to give one guy on your team.
Quite incredible.
But he turned it down.
Because he wanted to chase his dream. And the thing about it was he went over...
Knowing nothing about American football. I saw his interviews, like nothing.
Yeah, and he trained the house down over there, put everything into it, had an incredible preseason.
Yeah.
An amazing preseason. Like, you look up, like...
Highlights of it. I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a star.
Yeah, he looked incredible. He was
Yeah.
beating players. He was looking amazing. And then they're like, he's been so, and they were the hype, and they're like, maybe he'll make a team. And I was like,
Yeah.
surely he's going to make a team. Look at how amazing he's doing.
Yeah.
And then he did make for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And
He got a handful of regular season games.
very, very few.
Like 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
And he
something like
fumbled the ball a lot.
and he couldn't catch the ball in the games. Like, not even couldn't catch it. Like, the thing about it is, like, he was just receiving kicks. So to do his job, he only gets about 3 opportunities to do it
Per game.
And I think he'd like dropped like 2 balls in his first game and maybe 1 in the next. And it's like 3 mistakes.
Yeah.
You're gone.
gone.
It's over.
Yep.
You know, like, so all that training. So it's because there's
Very
so
cutthroat.
much talent over there. They just and they can't put up with. You know, that unless you're like proved your worth.
I mean, you look at a guy like Carlin Isles from the Sevens, like he couldn't make it. And was he athletics or was he NFL?
I think he was. No, he was a sprinter, wasn't
He
he?
was a sprinter.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there's some guys in the American Sevens team who couldn't make it in the NFL, and they are amazing athletes. Like, America has no shortage of incredible athletes.
That's why they call him the sleeping giant.
For many years now.
He's been a big old snooze for them.
But I don't know. I wish him all the best. I hope he makes it.
Yeah, I hope he makes it as well.
would be
I really
awesome.
do. I don't think he will.
I also don't think he will, but I would love to see him do it. Like,
Prove us wrong.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The only reason I say I don't think he'll make it is because the amount of guys who have tried it and not succeeded is long.
And these are guys who have been playing,
Like, people told me, I forget the
football
guy's
their entire
name.
lives.
They told me this one guy who did make it. I forget his name. He was a guy.
He's a kicker.
No, but there has been kickers who've done it before. But like, there's one guy who was like, couldn't quite make an NRL team, and he got scouted by somebody in the NFL, and he ended up making it.
Like a lineman.
But he's a big freaking unit, so it's totally different.
His job is like,
Yeah, basically. Like, and I think the reason they didn't make it in the NRL is because he wasn't mobile enough.
Yeah,
Whereas in the NFL, he was kind of perfectly suited.
yeah. Absolutely.
And I was like, yeah, I saw that example, but I was like, that's not really what we're going with.
And you look at the money that these guys can make compared to New Zealand money, compared to the money that they make.
If you're an average NFL player, like, you're making more than the highest paid rugby union player.
What are they like?
I think the average salary was a couple of million US.
And that's average. And then,
yeah, there's some guys obviously way more than that. And there's a lot of guys who are on a lot less than that. Like, I think the kick return guys are only on like 800,000.
And if you're on 2 million US, that's what is 3.5, 4 million New Zealand.
Yeah.
0 players are making that.
Yeah.
Like the best you can possibly hope for is maybe 1/6.
I think Bodie was on like $1 million from New Zealand rugby at one point, and then he went for Japan and did like $1 million contract over there. So
yeah, right.
And New Zealand
and then
dollars.
just get some brand ambassador stuff and sponsorship on top of that.
That's tough. But yes, that's quite a tangent. But Wales, they're without Lewis Rees-Zammit.
Yeah, go Lewis.
They've got no one's
which is
actually
a real shame because he was a real talent.
Real talent.
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
looked like a very, very quality young player. But look, Jared Hayne came back within 18 months. So
Do you think there's a potential that he kind of tarnishes his Welsh legacy? Like, he could have been, top try scorer or, some kind of all-time legendary dude. Does he tarnish it if he goes to the NFL and comes back with his tail between his legs? Or is it just like, well, you were 22, you're young, good on you for giving it a crack, young man?
I'm 100% good on you for giving it a crack. I don't think you're like, well, you're a loser because you tried. Like, I think it's awesome.
Trying for losers.
I think it's really. I felt guilty that we're both saying, don't think you'll make it.
Yeah,
but it's just an.
I mean, honestly, he's 22, so he's still young. I don't think he's married. I don't think he's got kids.
Yeah.
And his domestic team in the Premiership are doing absolute dog shite. Wales are in a rebuild, so they're predicted to do absolute dog shite. So if there's a year to do it, like, why not do it now?
It's a shame for Wales.
Yeah.
Like,
but if there's a team, if you're just like, I don't want to lose for the rest of this year. I want to go do something fun. I want to go to Florida and enjoy some nice weather.
Wales obviously were balls in the last Six Nations, and they had all that problems with their contracts and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But then look how they did at the World Cup.
They did all right at the World Cup, didn't they? And he was a big part of that.
I don't know how Wales fans don't get a bit more pissed off, because everyone is just like, Wales are so shit. They're going to do so bad. But
I think it's kind of part of the Welsh.
Really?
Well, they get shat on by the English.
Really?
That's
unbelievable.
Part of that.
It's flowed down to Australia as well, because I've been saying, like, I don't know, like, that the Aussies are going to do as bad as everyone's saying against the British and Irish Lions next year.
I hope they do well.
I hope they do well as well. Everyone's like, it's going to be it's going to be so lopsided. It's going to be the most historic lopsided series ever. But I'm like, Aussies aren't that bad. But people are saying, well, they got beaten by fucking Wales at the World Cup.
Is this going on mine or yours, by the way?
It's going on yours.
Fuck then.
But it's just like that's the marker. Like, because you got beaten by Wales by a record score, you are just awful. But it's like, that was under Eddie Jones when he took all the youngsters.
And then England got beaten by a record score against France at Twickenham last year, and then made it to the semi-final and lost by a point. Yeah, exactly.
Stop shitting on Wales.
100%. And momentum's a funny thing in sport, and different seasons. I think there's still a decent amount of quality and very, very passionate players, and on their day, maybe they go back to very old school Warren
I'm not
ball.
saying they're going to win it, but I'm just saying, give the boys a chance.
Can't really unbeat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the Scots. Interestingly, the Scots have got a pretty stable squad, a few new guys, same coach. You could say, how sometimes you've got a squad which you're like, that's a pretty good squad, but then the coach doesn't get them to the kind of that next level. Like I mentioned with Quesada, goes to the Juarez.
Gregor, what's his name?
Yeah, Gregor Townsend. So Quesada with the Juarez takes them to that next level. You're like, that's right. That's where this team should be. Where Gregor Townsend with Scotland, it's like, they're okay all the time. And like everyone else is looking at it like, this is one of the best Scottish sides ever. More depth than the Scots have had ever. And they're like third place in the Six Nations.
Yeah, but they're also playing against two of the best. And this was the problem.
Is it just unfortunate that they've got a great side at the same time as the French have got a renaissance going on?
Well, it's bad. Like, I know that I said that it's not the greatest championship. Well, I made a dig at the fact they've only got one World Cup, but I think they have two of the best teams in the world.
Oh, for sure, in France
and France and Ireland.
at the moment.
And I think those two teams are 1, 2, 3, or one of the, you know, like I'm not saying they're 1, 2, 3, but they're in that conversation, you know, and it's unfortunate because any time where Scotland's been the 4th best team in the world, that's incredible for them.
Yeah.
You know, like
they went to that World Cup having one of their best ever teams ever, and they had this draw with South Africa and Ireland. It's like, what the fuck?
And that was one of the perplexing things about that last World Cup, and one of the irritating but beautiful things about that World Cup. You know, like the pools are interesting because of that.
Yeah.
It gave us one of the best quarterfinal weekends, one of the best weekends of rugby of all time.
Yeah, some of the best matches you've ever seen.
Yeah, but
That's
it was,
right.
and that it shat on a lot of people at the same time. But I, you know, there's still a lot of life in that team. Duhan van der Merwe, if he can replicate. I thought he went a little quiet at the World Cup.
He's getting, I'll have to do a stat at some point, but I feel like he's a guy in a game where Scotland's expected to win. He just tears the house down, and in those tight games where it's like a South Africa, he's kept really quiet.
So
but
he's a flat track
bully. Yeah, maybe I need to. I'll have to do the stats on it. I could be talking ass because, to be fair, in the last few Six Nations, I think he holds the record for like most tackles broken in a Six Nations ever. And the person's record he broke was his own from like a couple of years before that. So maybe I'm being a bit unfair.
Count, like maybe that is probably the norm, but they did in that game against England last year for the Calcutta Cup.
Yeah.
Scored one of the most outrageous tries of the entire year.
That's right.
And that was...
Did that get try of the year? I think it might have. It was insane.
And that game was tight at the time. And that game was tight throughout.
Yep.
You know, so that was
maybe I just need to check his stats
clutch,
against like Ireland or South Africa. I feel like he doesn't... Maybe teams in green he doesn't do well against.
I think teams probably know that he's a threat, and the best teams in the world know how to shut down the ball. You know, and I think Finn Russell, for all his brilliance, doesn't make the most intelligent decisions on a rugby field a lot, and players know that they play into his ego and give him that opportunity. He's probably going to 1 out of 5 times do something incredible, but those other 4 times you're going to get a turnover from him. Like, I don't rate him as much as everybody else rates him.
He's a real love him or hate him kind of guy. He's a bit like Carlos Spencer.
I think he's brilliant. And like as a neutral, he's really fun to watch, you know. And I like seeing him like do incredible things when he can do them. But just like I see him do more shit things than good things, you know. And he's not the number 8. He's not your lock. He's the guy who makes everything happen. So like seeing him do a lot of shit things means you're turning over ball within your own 22. You know, like you're wasting opportunities when you're hot on attack because you've got a rush of blood to the head and you go for the miracle pass. You know, like you're giving away intercepts. But once in a while he does an incredible flick pass. He takes a gap that nobody else does. He has the audacity to try a chip when no one else would when there is space available. But it's not the percentage play. He would... In a game, he wouldn't last in the world poker, you know, like
too many kind of all-ins.
Yeah, too many all-ins, basically. There you go. There's an uninformed.
Well, we got a close-up look at Finn Russell in the Netflix series, but we'll get to that in just a second. Before we wrap up the Six Nations, so this weekend coming, France, Ireland, Italy, England, Wales, Scotland. That first game looks very tasty.
Super tasty. I'll watch it.
Italy will probably get beaten by England.
Yes.
I don't think Italy's never beaten England.
Really?
Never.
Never ever.
I think that's the only side in the Six Nations that Italy's never beaten.
Holy smokes. That would be great if they could get up. Yeah.
And then Wales, Scotland.
Well, like, you never know with England.
England's got this weird thing where like they play England first. They play Italy first, like the easiest team. Then they play Wales. Then they play Scotland. Then they play Ireland at home, and then they play France. So they get an increasingly difficult draw.
It's a mix. They never mix it up.
Actually, this is the first year that they've mixed it up in ages. It always used to be the fixtures got reversed.
Yeah.
But no, like it always used to be Scotland, England first round every single year since I've been watching. But
it was Scotland, England first up last year, wasn't it?
And the year before. But no, they've switched it up this time. So England's playing Italy, which is a nice change up of the norm. But yeah, and then Wales, Scotland is kind of tasty for its own reason because Scotland need to be that kind of contender instead of pretender within a away game to Wales.
Scotland have kind of usurped Wales as the other like proper team in Europe. You know.
You know a good Six Nations fact, which I love about the Six Nations?
Hold on a second. Mark, do you know any good Six Nations facts about the Six Nations?
Just thinking about one.
Yeah, well, let me know.
Last 4 years, 4 different winners.
Oh.
Like, that's when we don't get that in the Rugby Championship.
So last year was Ireland. The
Last year was Ireland, the year before was France, the year before was Wales, and the year before was England.
Ba-boom.
Tasty.
No.
Wayne Pivac won a Six Nations.
That was all the recasts.
During the year. Even you know about that. He knows his stuff. Ba-boom.
And you know who won the Rugby Championship last year? The All Blacks. And the year before, the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Probably the year before.
I think we've probably won it the last 4 in a row. I think the last one we didn't win.
Can I tell you a...
I think probably 2019 when the Box won. I think probably the last one.
Can I tell you a controversial strategy that I've been thinking about my YouTube persona? Okay. Not that it's much of a persona. It's just me being me.
You're going to poke the bear. You're going to go full Ben Smith on Twitter.
I was thinking about it just for fun, just because it's not real. It's the internet.
You're going to be antagonist.
I'm not going to do it, but I was thinking about just being like the whole year, because I love South Africa. I love South African people.
Yeah.
I really respect their team.
But I know a South African. I work with one. I love South Africans.
Some of my best friends are South African.
I eat biltong.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just thinking...
We drank some Clippies. You're an honorary South African.
Great. That was fantastic. But I was thinking, because they take it so intensely and they get so fired up about it. I thought about saying things like, look, they have won the World Cup, but they're killing the game with the style they're playing. It's just so boring, and just stuff like that. Man. Just... that
funnily enough, I think you'd get great engagement.
I know, that's the thing. I'd be getting great engagement. I'd get death threats and stuff like that, and it would be funny.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about, every time, I guess it's at altitude, so, it's a clear advantage there. But it'd be nice to see the wingers get the ball, wouldn't it?
There are people who do that on Twitter.
Yeah, there are definitely people who do that on Twitter. But just trying to, and then be like, 95, did it really count? These are things that I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel that way. You mentioned Susie.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah. You got a bunch of shit for it.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I don't genuinely feel that way. I think they're an incredible
I wasn't even saying that Susie...
poisoned us?
No, I was just saying that the fact that the All Blacks coach accused it was the scandal.
It was a controversy.
People took it the wrong way.
The South Africans are incredible people, but they do take their rugby very seriously, and they do get. I get a lot of shit on this from South Africans, and I don't even try to. That's not even when I'm trying to antagonize them. So I was thinking about leaning into it. Yeah, but if I just call it the way I see it.
Right.
And then it's just like, he's a blockhader. Yeah.
There you go.
But, I just like running rugby. What can I say?
So who's your pick for the Six Nations?
Okay, sorry. My pick for the Six Nations is...
First game is in France. Just if you're thinking France, Ireland, it's an away fixture for your Irish boys.
Yes, actually that's... Yeah. I think it's going to be... I want Ireland to win. They are my second favourite team in the world. It's going to be a hell of a year for Italy. That's what I think. No, I think France is going to get up this year. I think there's going to be a lot of residual sort of angst that they'll be getting out. I think there's what you're saying about players coming through. I think there needs to be good teams have a good balance between experience and
youth.
And youth. I think the loss of Johnny Sexton is massive for the Irish. They always look a little bit rudderless without him on the park, and now they're going to have to find a new... I think they're going to...
Jack Crowley is their guy, who's the one who led Munster to the URC titles, I think.
But he's unproven at international level, yeah?
So this is his opportunity, basically.
Yeah, so I'd like to see them get up and win it, but I could... France just always have incredible depth as well.
Yeah.
So I think the French will get up for this one, especially considering that crucial clash isn't in Dublin, it's in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's in Marseille, actually.
Okay, pardon me.
There you go.
Marseille. So yeah, I'm going to go with France. What about you, champ?
I'd love to see Scotland win it.
Yeah, I'd love to see them win it as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm. That's a bit of a boring answer, but I'm leaning towards the French as well.
Yeah, right. Okay.
If the home game was in Dublin...
You're so boring.
Yeah, I know. Fucking Scotland to win the whole thing. Up the Scots.
Up the Scots. Yeah, I'd love to see them. I think I would almost enjoy that as much as I would if Ireland won it again.
Right.
You know.
I think I would enjoy it more. Just because I've seen the Irish do it. I know they can do it. They've been
I
there.
am Irish, though.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, so like I can't bring myself to say, but just, you know, I want them to win.
Now, as part of the Six Nations hype train,
I'm hyped.
did you see the Netflix documentary Full Contact, which is kind of rugby's version of Formula One's Drive to Survive?
I was butt naked and beating myself furiously throughout.
Furiously. Finn Russell.
One
One
of my-
he was like Messi. You were like,
I thought Finn Russell has all the on-screen charisma of an arrogant gluten-free cracker.
wow.
Yeah, he's really boring to watch. Just because I had to do back in the day, I had to like do casting for reality television.
Oh, yeah.
And like he was just so, even around his family, it was just like I'm sure he's like has a big laugh with the lads and stuff like that. And it's a weird thing when someone brings out a camera around you and it's just being
you're gonna
normal.
act weird.
And he was just very standoffish, and that's fine, but that just means you're not good talent. So I didn't think he was particularly entertaining.
How many episodes have you seen? I've seen 4 and a bit.
Some 3 or 4.
Okay.
I think Andrew Porter for me is the
Cracker?
most.
Yeah.
I've been watching them as like he's the most charismatic, has the most compelling narrative.
Right.
I thought Genge has been really entertaining
Yeah.
on it. Warren Gatlin's conversations with his wife when he's
So forced.
it's so forced and it's so weird. Like they're clearly like saying, because they do the same thing with the players when they with the drivers and the team managers and F1 is made by the same people when they chat to their significant others and they go, "How do you think the season's going?"
Yeah.
And you know,
This is a normal conversation. Nobody's pointing at guns
and
in my
you
head.
can see that like Warren Gatlin's like, "Fucking kill me."
I was actually surprised because I vaguely remember this time last
Didn't they
year
kick them out?
that the Welsh had kind of kicked the crews out because they didn't want them disrupting because Welsh rugby was having all the issues and Gats was just like, fuck this is just too much hassle. But
especially
the 4th or 3rd episode was pretty much Wales's episode.
Yeah.
It was kind of all over the
That
shop.
was what
Like, most of the episodes have had a focus, like Finn Russell and Gregor Townsend. Can they get along? Like Ellis Genge, he came from a really rough childhood, and Sebastian Negri also had a tough time in Zimbabwe. And then the Welsh episode was kind of like...
Yeah. Negri's episode was really good. He was really interesting.
Yeah.
A really interesting character.
Interesting they picked a guy who's like a native English speaker to do the Italian episode, though.
But he's Italian at the same time.
He's got... They went for guys with an interesting backstory, not some guys like, I went to a private school and I played... I like playing rugby, and
I went to a private school and I played a few games of rugger, and it turns out I wasn't bad, so kept on playing, and look, I found myself in the English squad.
La-di-da,
Yes.
They didn't they didn't go down that road. They tried
I don't deal with some of the money, but don't need much of that, father takes care of it.
You're very good at that. You've met a few of those people, have you?
Yeah, I have. When
love all
money
people.
becomes like a sort of joking thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course I get paid, but
Yeah.
I felt like a right commoner.
But no, they pick people with interesting backstories. Some people have said it's too kind of like reality drama focused. There's like,
What do you think it is?
there's not enough like talk about like the.
I wanna know about the scrum.
The focus is too much about the individuals rather than like the history between, say, Scotland and England kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe they could do that, but no, that's of course what it's made by the same guys who made Drive to Survive.
So they're going for the personal, like any reality TV show. They're looking for person drama.
It's not as good as Drive to Survive.
No, it's not.
Drive to Survive is brilliant because Formula One is a soap opera.
Yeah.
It is a drama every week. It's the ups and downs and that.
And also like those rivalries, like you're my teammate, but you're also my biggest
imagine
rival.
if the halfback and the number 10 hated each other.
Yeah.
And like
They're trying
and
to
they
outdo
got
each other every week.
Yeah. And then if one of them is successful means the other one's shit.
Kind of, yeah.
That's, and then the coach is trying to manage both of them.
Yeah.
Like that's why people watch Formula
Yeah.
One. But like
I do think Formula One lends itself a lot better to that kind of narrative than rugby.
absolutely.
Just because even if you know nothing about Formula One, this car go faster than that car is pretty simple to understand.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, I don't know, if you're watching rugby highlights, maybe you get it.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't. I don't know.
No.
I need to get maybe my wife to watch it and just see if she enjoys it or not. Because
Yeah, I was thinking about getting Liz to watch it as well, but because she usually likes sports documentaries, but I kind of started watching it before she could kind of get on the bandwagon of it, because I was like, I better watch some of these. But it's been entertaining. I think it's been pretty good for the most part. I thought Andrew Porter's been very, very charismatic. I think what I've liked is it kind of just showing the kind of, I don't mean, it's almost like a bad word to say, but the laddiness, the camaraderie, the songs, and it's nice. It's just some nice aspects and stuff, and like, I don't think anyone's going to get in there and try and understand the scrum out of it. Like, they go into a little bit. Porter was talking about
against Antonio. They did that really well.
Yeah.
Every time Antonio came on the screen, they played some like ominous music.
Yeah, exactly. He was like Darth Vader.
That was hilarious. Yeah. I was waiting for them to do like the French episode where like Antonio's the main character and he's like this really soft-spoken guy, but no, they didn't.
Oh, hey, bro. Yeah, I'll pick up the scrum. Dear. No, he's a freak, isn't he, that man?
Do you think, I think they're filming season 2.
Okay.
Do you think this becomes a yearly thing for the Six Nations?
I hope so.
Or do you think Netflix goes, these numbers aren't that great?
It will completely depend on the ratings and how it does and the viewership.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely, it's a lot better than, I don't know if you ever saw the Amazon documentary that they made of the All Blacks, or the All Blacks one when the Lions were touring in 2017.
Right.
It was just very, very guarded. It was very like they didn't have the access that this one has, and like they promoted like they did, but it was just not quite there. The most dramatic thing that happened is they interviewed Sonny Bill Williams after he had a red card.
Okay.
But it didn't really kind of get. And I really like the in shed sort of access, the changing shed access. But just it's crazy from freaking 5th grade up, like 14-year-old, 15-year-old. As soon as your balls drop, team talk's the same. We're going to fucking turn up, okay? We're going to show them who we are before they even realise who they are. We're going to get fucking stuck into them before they can get stuck into us. Like, it's like, and we're all going to be ready. You look at the man next to you, he's going to do it for you, you're going to do it for them. And it's all that sort of shit. And then, like, and it's just like, I thought it would, like, kind of like, why are they saying the same things I was saying when I was 14?
Somebody, I did like an initial impressions video about it. Somebody in the comments was like, I felt like at international level, team talks were going to be like a lot higher level than this, but this is just like...
It's just like, exactly. Like, you know... Yeah,
have you seen that guy where they did a bit about Kieran Crowley, like his assistant Neil Barnes is like, we're just going to get fucking violent. I was like, oh shit, he's fucking brutal.
I loved him because he's an old...
He's real old school.
I recognise him too. He's been around the New Zealand scene for a long time.
Yeah.
I loved it when like they were winning, and they went back to that France game. They were winning like
we're gonna fucking win this.
Yeah, he was like, this is gonna be the Kieran Crowley's
longest 19 minutes of our lives.
Shut the fuck up! We're gonna win this.
That kind of sounds pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's not really family friendly. It's kind of like this show.
No. Yeah. Earmuff it if you got kids in the car with you.
Yeah.
Because this is a podcast.
It is. We do put it on podcasting platforms.
Such as...
Which ones are left? Spotify's still around.
I don't know if Stitcher is anymore.
I don't think so.
Apple Podcasts?
Apple Podcasts is still around. I think Google Podcasts is still there, even though they're discontinuing it at some point.
Get us on Spotify.
Yeah, just get on Spotify.
Okay. Yeah, smash us on Spotify. Yeah. Would you?
Yeah.
Leave us a review. Haven't looked at a review for it. We haven't released a podcast for 3 months. We did 30-something episodes of these this year. How many are we going to do this year?
A lot.
I've got an operation coming up in a few weeks.
Oh, no.
Testicles are just too big.
Oh.
Just have to shave a couple of inches off the edges.
That's one thing I've said about you. He's a great guy, but his balls are just hanging out.
Have you seen that documentary of the guy with like a 150-pound ball sack? And he like...
I can honestly say... No, I have not.
It's like a problem.
Is it called full contact?
Oh, yeah. Imagine the nutshell take I could take. But yeah, it's a really... Because he's morbidly obese and something terrible's happened to his nutsacks. And it's like...
God.
And they're always just there. They're like it's like a dinner...
It's like watching a ram or a bull or something. Just like Just fucking rugby balls dangling.
No, it's giant. Talking like 150 pounds, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's huge. Anyway, so sorry, I didn't mean to digress into that. What was I talking about?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Joe Schmidt's going to coach the Wallabies.
Yeah, can we talk about that and Razor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Joe Schmidt coaching the Wallabies.
Through to the Lions tour, and that's it. So it's like a 2-year deal.
Mixed feelings.
And that means he coaches against Andy Farrell, who's the Lions coach. So it's like the master against the apprentice. Oh. That's a great little storyline.
A little bit of Darth Vader, sort of Luke Solo.
Joe Schmidt seems like a really nice guy. And Aussie rugby, behind the scenes, seems like a really toxic place to be working.
Irish rugby?
No, Aussie rugby.
Oh, right.
It seems to be very, like, state against state, not in a good way. Like, no, we're not talking about fucking state of origin, but, like, they don't seem to have, like, be on the same page for a lot of stuff.
Well, this whole thing that's going on, the Rebels going into administration, I honestly don't think it would be the worst thing for Australian. It'd be a terrible thing for the Rebels, but
to have one team go,
one less team. I think that they need better quality Super Rugby teams.
Winning cultures.
Yeah,
and stuff.
winning cultures, being able to actually get into semis, it'd be better for the competition as a whole.
You know, one thing I found, just to compare, is that English rugby recently had 3 teams go bust. The Wasps, London Irish, and Worcester all went bust.
Can't be the Wasps are
I know, they're a former champion team. But, like, the Champions Cup the year before, from memory, I could be full of shit, but English teams just didn't do well.
Yeah.
Like, English teams were underrepresented in teams that, like, from the pool stages to make the knockout stages, they just didn't do very well. But now that they've had 3 teams go bust and the majority of the players got picked up by other clubs.
The good ones.
Yeah, basically, the quality of those sides has improved. They've done the best of the 3 leagues, like the URC, the Top 14 Premiership, which make up the Champions Cup. The Premiership teams are just doing better.
The cream rises to the top. So, yeah, it's sometimes good things come out of pain, don't they? And hopefully that's the case with Australia. But
it goes down to
Australia, got the other problem is which most people outside of Australia probably fail to understand a little bit, is they are playing in the country of the most powerful and biggest rugby domestic competition in the world.
I was thinking about doing a video about that. Like, is rugby union bigger than rugby league?
Rugby union is bigger than rugby league.
To spoil the video, which I haven't yet made, basically, rugby union, obviously... Oh, what happened?
Something beeped.
Okay, it still says it's recording. Does it? No, it's not flashing.
Oh, it stopped.
Are we full up?
Well, we filled it up.
No, memory card's full. I'm going to go take a piss while you sort shit out.
I'll sort shit out for you. Alright, going again.
Welcome to the Technical Difficulties Podcast.
With your host, Mark from 2 Cents. It's all your fault, man.
Yeah.
And look.
It's because I was talking about rugby league.
Yeah, it was like, no, we won't have that. We won't have that. And we're both old 40-year-olds that need to urinate too much.
Basically.
So
it was doing us a favour.
Yeah, it did.
Basically, my point was...
I've changed to wine.
There you go.
I'm a fancy lad.
You are fancy. Yeah. Rugby union's bigger than league, but the NRL, I haven't got my notes on me, but my cursory glances, the NRL is bigger than any rugby union domestic competition, like even the top 14. Like, I remember, I haven't got my notes, but I looked at, like, broadcast revenue, attendances.
Huge.
It is, I don't think people grasp the size of it. It is insane.
Yeah, and it absolutely dwarfs rugby union in Australia. Mm-hmm. And they're aggressively trying to stomp on rugby union. Mm-hmm. You know, they had that period where they took Te Carey, Wendell Saylor, Matt Rogers.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, some of the greatest players, some of the best players, and they went through a great period when they had those guys under their wing.
Yeah.
And they've got so much money behind them. There's so much TV ratings. Their TV package deal goes up every time they renew it drastically, and they've got their shiniest star now, Mark Nawaniitawasi. So it's a tough environment for that because they are getting attacked, and and it's successfully working. Like,
Yeah.
and if you are, and it's not even at like that level. Where it's not so much the Mark Nawinitawasis go across now, but the likes of like Cam Smith and some of these players that are like stars in the NRL that were schoolboy rugby stars.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there are a lot of like posh schoolboy schools, like rugby union schools in like similar to the kind of the UK, that kind of vibe in Australia. But if you,
I think in the UK the public schools they'd be playing football, but in Australia it's just rugby league, isn't it?
yeah, rugby league, well, and AFL is giant.
Yeah, in
too.
AFL for sure.
Especially
It's funny because
AFL's Victoria.
Yeah, every time I see people saying how bad rugby union is doing compared to rugby league in Australia, then if the odd AFL fan enters the chat and goes, "League's shit compared to AFL," we get way more fans than they do.
Yeah. That's right.
Rugby union's got a lot of competition.
Yeah, that's right. And it's
in Australia.
Yeah, and Mark Nawinitawasi going is heartbreaking.
That's brutal.
But in terms of Joe Schmidt, I think Joe Schmidt is an incredibly intelligent rugby brain.
He's like the Wayne Smith kind of rugby brain.
He's a similar professor type. But has he got the cattle to do enough with them?
I reckon he does. I think he's the kind of guy who'll be able to analyze what he's got and get the best out of them. But he's got a lot of politics and whatnot to wade his way through.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be like a triumvirate of like Joe Schmidt doing the coaching of the Wallabies, and then Pete Horn, the former Scottish international, who's apparently one of his best mates, is doing like high performance role. And then David Nusafora, who was with Ireland doing like a director role, is going to be doing that role. So the three of them.
And David Nusafora was the old Brumbies coach.
That's right.
90s.
So the three of them are going to be working together in Australia. So if they can't get such shit sorted out, then nobody can.
They need to get they need success.
Yeah.
Because part of it going down is there's bugger all success. And like, if you're a talented rugby athlete, like you can get notoriety and money so much quicker through rugby league in that country. And then if you've never watched like State of Origin is massive.
It basically just stops the country for a day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is absolutely
I
huge.
really feel like people don't get it. They don't get how big the sport is because international league kind of sucks ass.
Yeah.
They just kind of compare that to, like, you can't compare international league with international union, just like you can't compare the NRL to Super Rugby because they're just on different levels.
You know what's interesting? End of last year, the Kiwis played the Aussies.
Right.
We had our biggest victory of all time. Okay. Like, we beat them by 30 points. But it's weird that there's always great players in the Australian rugby league team, but they treat it. It's not as big as State of Origin.
Yeah.
It's not as big as like finals and like the grand final of the Origin. It's sort of like
league's one of those sports like the NFL or ice hockey or something where the biggest game is the club game, basically, or Origin in this case. But yeah, it's not, the international game isn't the biggest game.
No, it's not the most prestigious. But like the better the Kiwis do, the more chance we've got of that happening. I'd love to see the Kiwis involved in Origin somehow. They did it back. They did it back in the Super League days.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the whole Super League drama?
I remember.
We could talk about it for
the Warriors went to Super League.
Yes, a lot of teams.
I remember going to watch, I think JK play for the Warriors on the terraces of Mount Smart Stadium.
And the Super League.
And my dad bought me, what's that, a Magnum ice cream. Because there was a guy at the streets, the ice cream box coming around.
Magnum.
And he got me a Magnum.
Even back in the day, they were expensive.
They were. So I was I remember the fact that my dad bought me a Magnum because that was a big deal.
Might have been about $3.
Something like that,
Yeah, that was a lot of money.
It's a big deal.
Still a lot of money. Anyway, Super Rugby. Are you excited about that?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, there's a bunch of new coaches, but we can talk about Super Rugby once it gets a bit closer to the competition.
But I think it's a good thing for Australia that Schmidt is now on board.
Yes. I think that's the best.
I'm a little bit. I've conflicted because I'm like, he was so close to the All Blacks just recently, and to go, he's taken a lot of IP with them. So there's always that part of me like, but he's out. But like, okay, they need help. That's great.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what they do. Hopefully, they can go on the up and up because it's bad for New Zealand if Australia are shit.
Especially seeing as Super Rugby is just us and them now. It's just us. I mean, there's the Drua as well, but
us, the Drua, and hopefully we can like somehow. I'd like to see like some powerful team come out of Asia, something like that. You know, one Asian team, one South American team.
Yeah, there's been a bit of rumours about the Hawaris maybe
Yeah.
coming back, but I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, can I talk about the thing that most people have tuned into for us to talk about?
You want to talk about Dricus?
Dricus du Plessis. The S is silent. Wow. What? Did you watch the fight? Do you know anything about the fight?
I know that he won.
He won. He beat Sean Strickland.
Okay.
Very tough fight. For me, he won it. Like, there are a lot of people saying...
Was that a split decision?
It was a split decision.
Right.
So one of the three judges said...
How the hell do I know this? I didn't watch any of it.
I don't know. It's a big deal, man. It's massive. He's an interesting fighter, and now every time I see him fight, when I see him in the opening sort of stanzas of the first round, I'm like, this guy's gonna get hammered because he just looks quite unco and weird. I mean, he's a very awkward kind of style.
But then he just say unco? It means uncoordinated.
Yeah, man. But then he sort of just bites down on his mouthpiece and just rips in, and hell of a fight.
You thought he won it?
I thought he won it. I thought he won rounds 2, 3, and 4. I would not have been a robbery if it went the other way. Like, it was very close, but I thought he won it. And it's really interesting that, like, the South Africans are doing the exact same thing they do with the rugby. Like, when people are saying, "No, Sean Strickland won it," and it was like, and there was like a big gouge that Strickland took that he reports was a headbutt, which is like, a bit shit. So they're like, "Shut up! It wasn't a headbutt. It was a punch." And they're like, "He cleared it." So they're just getting up in arms in a very, very kind of similar kind of way. But then the Americans, who are very like aggressive online as well,
they go toe to toe.
Yeah, it's like aggressive. It's like South Africa are like Yankee trolls going at it online, which is quite interesting to see. But it sets up a massive clash for Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis.
Are they the same
and there's
weight?
Middleweight.
Okay.
So, and there's a bit of bad blood because Dricus du Plessis went on the record in an interview saying
he's the only African.
Well, he wanted to be. It came across he was saying he's going to be the first African champion.
Right.
But what he was saying is he was going to be the first African trained living in Africa. He breathes African air. But at the time there was Kamaru Usman, Ngannou, which is he's amazing. He almost beat freaking Tommy Fury in a boxing fight.
Oh wow!
Well, not Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury.
Right.
And Israel Adesanya, and Israel took it personally, and then came out on stage after Dricus beat Bobby Knuckles, who's another freak, and then just got in his face going, "Yeah, I want to talk to my African brother," and he was like, "What's up, N-word? Let's go N-word." Just kept on saying the N-word because there's one thing that even though he's African, he can't say the N-word, but it came off really cringy and kind of awkward. But I'm still, I'm 100%.
UFC does the drama though pretty well.
And there's this
they lean into the drama.
This is pre-built, and then one thing that Dricus said in the press conference to Sean Strickland that was totally out of line. Like, Sean Strickland is known for saying the most outlandish, outrageous stuff, the most offensive stuff about everything possible.
Okay.
Like, he accused Izzy of masturbating dogs and stuff, all sorts of stuff. And Dricus kisses his coach on the lips, and he does. It is odd to see, but he does. Good on him. He feels comfortable to do it.
In China, I sometimes saw guys they walk down the street kind of arm in arm kind of thing. Just dudes. It's just a dude thing over in China. Stuff that we would be like, oh, that's a bit odd. In China, that's just normal dude things.
Normal
just
dudes.
different cultural behavior.
Yeah.
In China, girls walk down the streets holding hands.
Yeah.
Whereas in New Zealand, if you saw two girls holding hands, you'd probably think they're a couple.
Yeah, that's right.
Different things.
Anyway,
different cultures have different habits.
They do. I'm not saying anything, but
I'm not saying anything either. I'm just saying it's different.
It's odd.
I've never seen a guy in the UFC kiss his coach.
Do you want to kiss on the lips?
No.
Okay. I don't want to either. Okay, cool. Anyway, it's odd, but it is what they do. But anyway, he was giving him shit about. He was digging into this about passion his coach basically, and then Dricus brought up the fact that Sean Strickland is from an abusive household. He got very, very abused by his father throughout his childhood. And he said, Dricus was like, you thought you got abused by your dad. It's going to be nothing compared to what I'm going to do to you. It's going to bring back all those memories, what your dad did to you. Which is about as douchey as you can get.
Kind of, yeah.
Which is awful. But, it's kind of he kind of got through it some, like when that first happened, everyone was like anti-Drickers and all this sort of stuff. But then they're like, well, Sean Strickland says crazy shit to everybody, and like it's mean stuff says in the work. But when you're bringing up a child's abuse,
yeah. See, I think like rugby could use a little bit more edge about it, but they don't need to go that far. Yeah, that's cringe.
And when they talk about
we don't need to do that.
Yeah, and you
like with rugby, they won't even talk about like not liking anybody, which I find a bit like, come on, like you're allowed to not like each other.
Colby Covington said to Leon Edwards, which was the pay-per-view before this most recent pay-per-view, they were talking smack, and Colby Covington's like a douchebag character basically, but he said to Leon Edwards, he said, I'm going to take you to hell, son, and when we're there we can visit your dad. And his dad got murdered when he was 11.
Wow.
Like that's
pretty douchey.
It's dark.
Yeah.
That's dark stuff. So we don't need to go there.
Yeah, no, we don't need to go that far. Rugby could just use a little bit of edge, I think.
A little bit of edge.
Because rugby's always like, oh, well, yes, they played well. Credit to them. Like, I saw that at the World Cup. Like, we beat them by, like, somebody got beaten by 70 points. I credit to them. They gave us a great game. Like, you fucking smashed them.
Yeah, you can't say that. You're like, well, look, the scoreboard might say one thing. Says you absolutely
battered them.
Beat the living shit out of them.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, before we wrap this thing up, Ray, is there anything else? Razor? We talked about Ray. What do you got on your
Razor Ray?
Razor Ray.
There's a lot of excitement in New Zealand about Razor.
Come on, Razor. Yeah. Come on. See, I'm going to be the quintessential New Zealander.
I'm looking forward to Razor against Rassi, I'll be honest. And then they add Joe Schmidt to the mix. I feel like Felipe Contepomi is the odd man out because you've got Razor, who's had unprecedented success with everything he's done. Hasn't done it at test level just yet, but under 20s, Canterbury and the Crusaders, he's been phenomenal.
Yep.
So that's fantastic. Rassi Erasmus back-to-back World Cups. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rassi Erasmus back-to-back World Cups, took a failing South African side and just turned them around. Yes. Unbelievable. And then you've got Joe Schmidt, the mastermind of the Irish, like 2018 team, which is one of the best teams of all time. They were all conquering. Yeah. He was coach of the year that year. And then you got Felipe Contepomi, like, that's my first real kind of head coaching gig. So
it's weird as well, like
he's been an assistant and whatnot, but I feel like he's up against it.
But in terms of Razor Ray, you could see that he was gagging to get his hands on the boys.
Oh, for sure.
Like he was like, "Oh, what is it? December 7th? All right, coming for a camp, everybody."
Yeah.
Like
start of January, he had camp.
Sorry, January 7th is like
within a few days of him starting the job, he was like, "Yeah, I want you guys to be together." And then the Wallabies guys like, "We don't even have a coach yet." Yeah, the All Blacks are in camp and we don't even have a coach.
But then they just had and they were doing fitness testing. Yeah. Apparently,
Cam Roy smashed the Bronco.
Yeah. I'm excited about seeing how that boy develops.
Yeah.
He could be a great. Mark my words. Just put the old kiss of death on him. Hopefully, I haven't. But and I think we needed it as like I feel for Fozzie. Like it would have been a great send off for him to win that World Cup, and I'm still stings. Yeah, it does still sting. And the big reason that nobody wants to give a shit about rugby at the moment is because we went through a little bit of heartache towards the end of the year. So it's good just to have a little bit of a time off. But yeah, having Razor Ray on board and just his sort of personality and all that sort of stuff. Like,
did you see his first interview? The media went real softball on him.
They love him.
They love him.
They love him.
Whereas the relationship between the New Zealand journalist and Fozzie was always quite antagonistic.
Because he was losing. So,
but even when he got appointed, I don't think the journalist liked him.
You know what you should have named your channel?
What?
You should have named it Mark My Words.
There you go. Mark My Words.
Because his name's Mark.
It is. It is.
It's really clever.
Yeah.
No, but why
would I've been a guest on a channel called... it's either From the Mark or Off the Mark Rugby. Guess what his name is?
Mark. Hey. There we go. I'm meant to be on the Rugby Recap. So.
Which one's the Rugby Recap?
Oh, come on. It's one of our best guys.
The Rugby Recap?
The Rugby Re-Rap?
The Kiwi Lads one?
Yeah, the Kiwi Lads and Rugby. We talked about it earlier in the podcast.
Well, I thought it was like a different channel.
No. It is a different channel, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think they made their own channel.
Right.
We don't have it. This is not its own channel.
No.
2 Cents Gets Distracted is a channel that spans two different channels.
Confusing as that
I have to make some videos at some stage, don't I?
You do.
And you know, the old algo, I have to start from like, if you're looking at this on my channel and it's got like 12 views, tell someone about it.
Yeah. He makes rugby content sometimes.
And it's not bad.
It's pretty good.
When I get round to it, you know. It's okay. Well, maybe I need to think about making. I've thought about some ideas for a video.
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, before Razor, you're excited?
Yeah.
I'm excited. He has very high expectations on him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is that everything?
That's everything on my list.
We did it. How long did we record this podcast for?
Well, we filled up one memory card.
Yes, we did.
So,
yes.
too long.
2 hours?
It's been good to see you, folks.
I've missed you.
Nice to swear on camera for a change. Apologies if you've got young kids around.
I could bleep them.
No, this is going on your channel. Next week, it'll be bleep time.
And we'll actually have some rugby to talk about rather than just catching up. Good to see you again, sir. We did catch up over the holiday period.
We did.
The families met up. We had a barbecue.
We did.
It's great. Played some guitar.
Yes.
Yes. Our daughters did a strange sort of interpretive dance.
That was bizarre. My son helped with the guitar in the background as well.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did. I'm trying to get Garrett into golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's...
He's not really talking about the golf since. He'll need to have another session with
He's
him.
more of a fly swatter kind of guy.
Yeah. He likes the old...
We don't have to go into it. Anyway, thank you for watching.
Take care, folks. Good to see you.
Haere-ra. I'm waving for a long time, Mark.
Oh, wave.
Wave. You remember the old end of the Beverly Hillbillies?
Yes, they used
They used
to
to,
keep waving.
they used to come out at the end of it. They used to come out at the end of onto their front porch and just sit there and wave.
Yep.
Who's your favorite character? Jed?
Yeah, probably Jed. He was pretty funny. And then the angry grandma. What was her name?
I don't know.
But she was really angry.
What was it, Leroy or something like that?
Leroy Jenkins.
All right, that's enough. All right.